to create a SaaS platform like Salesforce right now, you can do it within a week actually. So that's why I think like a pure SaaS is of no value right now. But the good thing is like these guys are like, okay, we build this platform, but what's the core behind it is the analytics.
Hi everyone, Claire here, one of the producers of All Aboard. On today's episode, Alex is joined by Brian Soby from AppOmni and investor Pramod Gosavi from Blumberg Capital for a really sharp conversation on what might be the biggest question in enterprise software right now. Is SaaS dead? They unpack how agentic AI is reshaping product architecture, investor relations, and the way we build and use software. From Copilot fatigue to the rise of agent-native workflows, this episode is all about where the value is shifting and why domain expertise and data gravity matter more than ever. So with that, let's get into it.
I am joined today by Pramod from Blumberg Capital. Pramod, tell us who you are.
Yeah, so I'm a daytime I'm an investor at Blumberg Capital, investing in AI data, cyber. Nighttime, I do a lot of analysis on cyber data and post a bunch of stuff on LinkedIn.
Yeah, you could say you're a prolific LinkedIn poster. Very, very followed for your memes. And then Brian, tell us about yourself.
Brian Soby, co-founder and CTO at AppOmni, which is a SaaS security company, also really big into AI as of late. My background is pretty much all security, cloud, SaaS, networks.
Yeah, the whole thing, you know a little bit of something about security. So this conversation, just for the listeners and everyone out there, came from Pramod had fired off. I think it was a comment about the JP Morgan CISO, yeah, and some of the critiques around OAuth, and then we had a little bit into the discussion around SaaS. Is SaaS dead, dying? So the spirit of this conversation is really just, where is SaaS going? And I think, and particularly the impacts around agentic AI on the SaaS industry. Because I think, candidly, like I feel like between founders and VCs, you hear like very different opinions on just even within those two groups. Like, is SaaS going to completely collapse? Is agentic AI going to eat workloads? Like, where's it going to go? So, maybe we can kind of start a little bit at the top, but like, wanted to understand, I think maybe high level, Brian, we'll start with you. Like what is your perspective on just like agentic AI? Is it going to eat SaaS? Like we'll go there, we'll kind of click down from it, but what's your top take?
Sure. So to make AI useful, I think you really need two things. You need data and you need domain expertise. Because ultimately what you're doing when you're creating these agents is you're instilling within them lots of domain expertise and giving them tasks to operate on, which are very data centric. So when we look at where agents are really getting traction, it's places that have both of those. And when you look at what those places are, a lot of times you end up right back in SaaS applications. That's why you see, of all the agent platforms, you have your pure plays like a Glean, for example, and that's largely connector based. They're just going to offer library connectors to whoever, and you can put your agents on there. Or it's the places that already have strong domain expertise and data, which are SaaS apps. Look at Agentforce with Salesforce. ServiceNow has an agent platform. Snowflake has an agent platform. M365 has agents. Google Workspace has agents. What we're seeing is AI being incorporated into SaaS in really one of two forms, or sometimes both, which is embedded AI, think like the Copilot kind of things, or AI-enabled features. And then we're seeing agents. Never mind the changing experience within those products. I mean, I'm totally guilty of this myself. Like AI has already made me lazy. We were talking about something earlier where it was like, oh, I need to go log into this thing and click all these different rows and check to see if any of these, it was like a bug reporting system. Any of these bugs were relevant. It's like, no, I'm not doing that. This is an AI use case. Someone's got to do that for me. I no longer have the patience to go log into things and click around forever. I think we're going to see a very different experience within SaaS. And it's going to largely involve automation or taking the grunt work off the users. But those are going to be the platforms for agents because they already have the data and they already have the domain expertise.
Yeah. Pramod, does that resonate with you? I mean, from an investor perspective, I'm assuming if someone's pitching your firm and they don't have an AI story, it's probably like dead in the water. You're not even like taking the call. But tell me how you guys are thinking about investments in the context of AI and companies that are maybe traditionally SaaS businesses and what AI means for their businesses.
Yeah, as an investor, like I think this is a beginning of maybe like a decade-long trend where you see a lot of architectures getting disrupted. The way we think about AI is, like as Brian mentioned, there are two use cases. Like one is like this Copilot. That one, I feel like it's a very lazy use of AI where you just have this Copilot sit on top of your system of record. And that's also where the most of the problem is because, from a vendor perspective, you cannot really control the product experience, right? Like how useful the tool is depends on what the customer is like asking the questions. And somebody was just pitching me, and I was just like, there's no way a CISO or CIO like sits around and starts asking questions. That's like the most dumbest way to build a product. So anytime anybody's pitching me a Copilot, like I think that's like a dead on arrival, right? So, but having said that, I think it's a good feature. I think everybody should have that feature on top of their system of record. And the second thing, as Brian was mentioning, there are these workflows, right? So these workflows, so think of like a good analogy I gave is like we went from a monolith to a microservices, right? So in order to scale and in order to use different languages. So I think of agents as like smart microservices. So now you're embedding LLMs into those microservices and you're making them autonomous and self-sustaining. And that's also where I think the distinction is with the good founders versus not so good founders, right? So the funny thing is like people are just misusing this word agent so much. Like somebody was pitching me something and they were calling a feature on the product as an agent. And I was like this is not an agent at all. And then a lot of time, like they call a microservice as an agent where LLM is not even embedded into that service. It's like a traditional software, right? So I think there's a lot of confusion, but the really smart founders, I see that they understand this agent architecture really well, where they start with like this loosely connected boxes and they think of an architecture and putting this architecture together. And right now I would say like those founders, they can raise at a premium who has that very clear thinking. And it's also very bold thinking is to just think natively in those agents. Because I think mentally we are like, if you have a lot of experience in enterprise software, we think like a stack, still like a stack, and then agents is like more like sideways versus a stack, right? So there's a difference in thinking.
Yeah, so I totally agree, by the way, with both of you around the Copilot experience. I'm getting a little bit more thin too on people like shipping AI in their product, and it's like a better search feature for what already exists. And also kind of agree, like, I don't imagine CISOs or anyone else want to just sit there and like search your product using a prompt. But can you expand a little? Because I think there's been some hot takes in the industry, like Mark Benioff and Satya Nadella, I think, said something about kind of SaaS traditional workloads like collapsing down to the agent. And so that almost paints this future where the workflows of the future will be the agents themselves. Like they'll almost replace the SaaS application or they might replace the actual UI of the application. Like, is that something you believe in? Is it an and, or is it actually like an or? Like these applications are going to totally transform and they're just going to be AI agents in the future? And over what time horizon do you guys think that happens? Whoever wants to take that one.
I can start first. I think, like Satya had the right way of explaining. So he said that the SaaS are like systems of engagements on the systems of record, right? And that system of engagement right now is very static and very clunky, right? It's not improving at all. So think of Salesforce where, even something like putting an entry is an agent, like I just talk about it or it just pulls it from my email and everything, right? So I think it's going to change, but I feel like the current generations, and I might be wrong, is like Salesforce, ServiceNow and all are just like giants right now. I mean, these are very similar to like the on-prem era that they just couldn't move to SaaS. So you'll see like the new generation companies actually come in and do that. I just don't see, and these guys are like so big right now that they have to do like a self-destruction where they need to really like rethink our Salesforce from a ground up. If they go and buy some companies right now, like they're buying companies for data connectors and everything, it's just like a lipstick on a pig. It's not going to help at all. So again, I'm an investor. I might be saying this is a self-fulfilling, but as an engineer and a former product person, I think this is the right way to go.
Yeah, Brian, what do you think about that? Anything to add?
So I think, like I said before, it's definitely going to change user experience. That example I gave about logging into that bug reporting system, like why I shouldn't need to ask. That should just be triaged automatically in the background. That's where I see it going. So when I see useful embedded AI, really it's going in that direction. It's going away from the make me prompt something and more to the do it in the background. And I think you see that with like Salesforce. Hey, you have a lead. Great. What are the things that I would spend 20 minutes doing to qualify a lead once it came in? Because I'm not going to do that. You now need to do that yourself. And then call into this and call into that, do all of the stuff that I would spend my time doing, but it's kind of rote and not really require, it doesn't really require me, and just do it automatically. But with respect to the big platforms, like if you look at Salesforce Agentforce, you can define agents with different prompts and rules and things like that and topics, and it can go in different directions based on what's going on. But a lot of the power comes from the fact that it's built on something. You can't just take I'm going to log into ChatGPT and go to Agent Builder and plug a bunch of connectors in it and really get a lot of power. With Agentforce agents, you can call into custom code that exists, that is already backed by this massive marketplace. You can call into incredibly complicated workflows and have Agentforce take that. Like that's what you're getting when you talk about agents built on these big platforms, is they're built on these platforms that have so much capability and so much data and so much business process already on it, and they can seamlessly interact with that. Like that specifically is what makes it powerful, because those are systems of record for that data. They have all the data, and your whole company's domain expertise is already on that platform, and the agent can interact with it.
Yeah, that makes sense. And actually, to round this out a little bit, I think Mark Benioff said, countered the notion of AI replacing SaaS, saying that it's all about the apps, the data, and the agents. So I think kind of framed it more as the agents being like, as another experience of the application itself. But everyone kind of consistently agrees, I think, that the data platform itself, the data and the gravity in the application is part of what is like the sticking power of these applications. But can we, shifting a little bit here, because we're seeing, what do you think, Pramod, what do you think about applications that don't really have data sticking power? Like they are like LLMs, they're kind of thinly veiled LLMs, if you will, or LLM prompts. But maybe they have like consumer like growth, like, not throwing shade at anyone, but Windsurf had an insane exit here, $3 billion. Like that's wild. Consumer style adoption, huge revenue growth. You could make the argument that that's really like a UX on top of an LLM prompt and like a code editing experience. So how do you think about that as an investor?
Yeah, I think that's also a good opportunity. Like we are looking at a few companies in the logistics space. The voice is very mature right now, so you can do a lot of workflows like on top of that. I mean, they are not actually disrupting any system of record. They're still taking data from the system of record, they're updating it. But people are paying money for that because it's a pure productivity game. I think for a while, people were shying away from this kind of company, saying they are rappers or whatever, right? But as you see, these products, they are developing a lot of moat, right? So they're understanding the underlying data, they're improving the AI, right? So anyway, same thing with Cursor. If you look at it, right, like they just took an LLM, did a lot of prompt engineering, and made it work on VS Code. That's exactly what they did, and they delivered the results, right? So there will be companies that will become huge companies. It's just that whenever something like this, a company like this sits on top of a traditional platform, eventually the platform wins, right? So that's why I think we will see some of the successes in some other industries versus sitting on top of traditional system. But I think I agree with Brian, is like there's a lot of data available in the system, there's a lot of businesses, there's a lot of opportunities to even like create a wrapper and develop and provide value. It's just that long term, you don't know whether the platform will develop it themselves.
Yeah. Or can they get big enough to develop their own platform and drive adoption to it, I suppose. So the other aspect of AI that I think doesn't necessarily threaten, I think, SaaS as at an existential level, but does change how businesses are built and scaled, is just the ability to rapidly write code and write software and basically build a SaaS. So the ridiculous example, I don't know if it's actually true or not, I haven't seen it in a while, but all the Twitter memes about kind of like one-shotting building an application. Like if you just, the thought experiment is I have an LLM that's extremely good pulling all of Salesforce docs. Could I one-shot like a CRM and build it? Like, everyone and their mom's kind of talking about that use case. Do you think that's a far extreme? Do you think that's actually the future world that we're going to live in? How is it affecting AppOmni's business? Like, what do you think about code velocity and like the ability to kind of build and scale software or write bytes at a commoditized level because of these agentic AI and code experiences.
So software decays, and that's true whether it is manually written software or AI assisted software. We're not at the place right now where you have AI developed software. Like the vibe coding thing is, try it. It's fun. It looks glorious. You see code flying all over the pages. Like everything is great. And then you look at the actual result and it is ridiculous. It's absolutely crazy. There's stuff imagined. The architecture is terrible. It's just nuts. The assisted coding is magnificent. Like the autocomplete style. There are certain use cases where like writing tests, which are just absolutely great, although it will test the incorrect behavior. Could it do something like just getting it to write a microservice that does something of substance is very challenging. Getting it to write anything with complexity, we're not there now. I think we'll certainly get there in the future, but that doesn't change the fact that software still decays. And some, mom and pop shop, like us, even if AI could write it for us, I don't want a payroll app that is bespoke to me that I created. Like that's crazy. I don't want to have anything to do with payroll apps. That's not anywhere near my core business. And now I have this burden. And every bit of it requires maintenance. And I'm going to have 100 of these things that I have to maintain because technically I had the ability to call into something that can spit out a functioning as of today application. I mean, with payroll, if it screws up compliance, that's on you. I have to be a domain expert at something I don't want to be a domain expert in, unless the AI is magically the domain expert, and we're not there. And that's why a lot of these applications, like the logistics applications, absolutely. You have domain expertise and the craziness that is, invoice registration, compliance, and cross-filing stuff, all of that. And you have the data and generally probably the background in the industry. There are billion opportunities for those types of applications to spin up. Something that used to take a lot of time manually to be done automatic. But do companies do they want to go back to everything is bespoke? So you are a shoe company. Oh, by the way, you also have to be in the business of maintaining an army of agents that do stuff outside of your domain. I would much rather pay money to take that off my plate instead of having to own that.
Yeah. And then Pramod, how do you think about AI driven software development and just like the velocity in your portfolio companies? Are you seeing anything across the board that, if someone's not doing it, it's a big red flag, and otherwise you're encouraging all of your investments to do?
Yeah, it's funny that you asked this. Like a couple of days ago, these two young guys came and pitched me a automotive platform, and I asked them to demo. It was pretty full featured, actually, lot of features. And I asked them like, how long you've been building this product? And I was really shocked. Like it was not like 1 or 2 months. It was not like 1 or 2 weeks. He said actually literally 1 or 2 days, right? So he's saying, I was just shocked actually. So what he's saying is that as long as you have an idea of what to do, you can use like lovable cursor. And there's this open SaaS template that he talked about where you can quickly put together. And he's saying that the velocity has come to the point where each feature now is like 15 minutes. Like somebody says, hey, add this tab, and they just add it, right? So the velocity is just insane. But I would still say that, this actually shows like how commoditized SaaS is going to be moving forward. So this was a SaaS platform, that's not an agentic platform. So to create a SaaS platform like Salesforce right now, you can do it within a week actually. So that's why I think like a pure SaaS is of no value right now. But the good thing is like these guys are like, okay, we built this platform, but what's the core behind it is the analytics. So they started working on this analytics right away. So the good thing is you're going to see that people not wasting time on the platform, but going to where the value is. I'll just close up by saying that still, I think the Agentic platform still is a premium and not a lot of people can think through it, right? So I think that is still going to be of value, but like a pure SaaS, like a nice dashboard, nice console, it's a full commodity right now.
And when you say a SaaS in that context, you're thinking specifically like CRUD applications or like very big, are you including workflows? Or are you including, obviously the user experience in CRUD operations feels like highly commoditized.
Yeah, so like look at like Salesforce or Workday or ServiceNow right now. Like you can create those with all of the connectors and everything. You can create within a week right now.
Yeah, these are. It strikes me a little bit. Oh, Brian, what were you going to say? Is it true?
Grossly underestimates the complexity of those products. I think you could probably within a week create 1999 Salesforce, which was tabs, forms, save. To say that you could create Salesforce as of today with everything that it has in any reasonable amount of time, that's not within the realm of reality. Like, these are massively complicated products with tremendous avenues to different business logic. They're so extensible, you can put literally any business process that exists in the world on them just by dragging and dropping various things. And now you can add agents. Now you have unlimited connections to things. They have custom code runtimes, a lot of them. Like, these are really complicated things. You could say that for certain use cases, maybe. But again, it goes back to, I can make a CRUD app, but I can't AI the business logic. I can't AI system architectures. Like, I can't do those things with the tools that exist today.
I have to agree with that. I think like a basic version you could easily get. I think I agree with that. This Salesforce has just become like too complex and deep. Yeah.
Yeah. Does that mean that applications out there that were kind of glorified spreadsheets in the cloud and wrappers for spreadsheet, like, are those applications dead? That, like,
Yeah, I mean, you used to see a lot of this YC, this I'm taking data from here and there. I'm doing some
I didn't
analytics.
want to name names, but like, yeah, I'm kind of
Yeah.
curious. Yeah, keep going.
Yeah. I mean, I connect to so and so. I give you very beautiful analytics. We are democratizing it. We're making very beautiful, easy. Like all of that is just going to be commodity right now.
Yeah, it feels like the ability to create small CRUD applications, like 100% dead immediately. I mean, to challenge you a little bit, Brian, like, how good does AI have to get to understand the business logic before it could start encapsulating some of those things, and like it could write workflows? Like, do you just think that never happens, or is that like a timeline thing?
So AI is great at general knowledge. And sometimes general knowledge is good enough to understand the business logic and the domain knowledge, really. When AI is really powerful, like I said, is when you have deep domain expertise and you have deep data. You have shallow domain expertise. There are some domains where that's fine. Hey, I'm a generic document searcher kind of thing. Sure, whatever. Like, you need very little domain expertise. But if it's something that there's enough domain expertise that it justifies large SaaS applications, like a Workday, for example, there's a tremendous amount of domain expertise required to do that correctly. Anything HR, anything payroll, anything related to, I don't know, probably engineering or those types of things. Does AI just happen to know it already? Not today. So the people who are going to be the most successful are the people that bring that domain expertise and can use that as the basis on which to build effective AI systems. I mean, I would much rather be in the position where I am building AI on top of a capable and functional product, then I'm just going to hope that AI can figure out that whole space to include all of the intended business logic, all of the intended domain expertise, put together those workflows for me automatically. Like, if I don't already know that, I have a tremendous amount of trust in systems that, hallucination is the first thing that people think about when they think about it. Like, I don't want that in my HR application. My customers are not going to use that product for very long after I send the paycheck to the wrong place because vibe coding.
Sure. Yeah. The idea of one-shotting like an HR system feels a little bit, feels kind of sketchy to me, especially when you owe taxes and all sorts of things like that.
So much is like that. Look at the security of any application. I don't want anything vibe coding my security, like my security foundation for any application. Like that's just scary.
Well, can we actually click on that for a second? Because I think one of the arguments that I've even made around software, SaaS in particular, is that in the idea that it goes to zero is that it underappreciates the service aspect of the software as a service, which is security. You said earlier, Brian, software decays over time. It takes expertise to actually, continue to push that software forward. How much value is there in that Pramod, like the service aspect of it? Is there always going to be value there? Or like, does AI get good enough that you can have security agents running around finding vulnerabilities in your software and then writing fixes to it?
Yeah, another thought I had is a thing on the next generation SaaS, right? Like right now you have this console like a Workday and people go to it, right? I think what we are seeing is on the AI side, the system of record might actually be like invisible, right? So you're going to engage with that through different points, like, voice is one way of engaging. Like, you could talk to Salesforce all day, but you could actually never see a Salesforce like that, right? I'm just giving an extreme example like that, but we are seeing like that in like other domains. To your point on the services side versus AI side, I would say like this human in the loop is, I think people are confused about this human in the loop, right? So there are three ways to think about. Like one is like autonomous AI, no human in the loop. So these are like the hippies saying that, hey, AI doesn't have to have any humans. And then the other people are like, no, you need humans, you need other thing. And then I have actually a third approach. So to me, I think human in the loop is basically for the first 1 month or 2 months to get the AI up and running. Like you need to come and coach it, and then you need to leave it, right? If you think that you need human all the way, all the time, there's something wrong with it, right? Again, there's some use cases that where you might need it, like very high critical, like, healthcare or financial, like you need some eyes, right? But it should be only for that. But for performance reason, you should not have human in the loop. And I'm a big believer of like limiting the human just in the initial phases where you help the LLMs get to where you want to get there. And that is also like how I actually judge some of the investments is like, it's okay to get a human in the loop, but can you actually convert the system, get the hallucination as low as possible, and then the system is like self-running, or the noise keeps on increasing and you always need to have human in the loop, and that's like a bad investment.
Interesting. Brian, how do you think about, I don't know, any thoughts or reactions to that? I mean, I think this idea of, memories in agentic AI, I think is really interesting, because I think that's been a missing element up until now, with the ability to include like reinforcement learning and memories in agentic AI. So to your point, Pramod, like you can make them get better over time and then drop the human out of it. That actually sounds right to me in a lot of contexts. Brian, I don't know, have you guys thought about that? Are you doing any work like that at AppOmni, or are you seeing anything?
I think that is that self-improvement step it's definitional in most people's definition of agent. Like, there is a feedback that does get better by itself. And the way I think of it, it's like a set of experts in domains. To your point about using the SaaS system without being on the SaaS system, I 100% agree. In my view, whatever you use to handle a particular domain, whatever product, whatever SaaS app, whatever anything, you need to be able to treat it like you would a person. If I'm, let's say I'm like a emergency catastrophe investigator, and I go to a site and there's a bridge and buildings, and I've got engineers there, I'm not going to go try to learn how bridge safety works. I'm just going to grab the engineer that does bridges and say, do bridge stuff and tell me if it's going to fall over or not. I want the same thing within AI, especially AI systems. Like, hey, you're the CRM, you're the Workday or whatever, all these different applications. You just do whatever you do really, really well. And I want to be able to ask you stuff related to your domain, and you contribute in whatever way is appropriate for your domain. Don't make me learn it. Don't make my agents learn it. Just be the master of your domain and participate. That's why we were really excited about MCP and A2A agency, and now there's like 5 of them. Like we launched, like everybody else, we're in the security industry. RSA was the other week. We launched an MCP server, and what we wanted to do was say, okay, this is our domain. Our domain is ours happens to be SaaS security. If you need anything related to SaaS security,
come talk to us. Yep.
Our AI, have your AI talk to our AI. Absolutely. Everything's great. In that way, you can, we talked about these big platforms, like especially in the security space, platformization. Well, you kind of plaster over some of the bad features or some of the good features in big platforms. Like somebody's getting the not so great part of that platform. If everything is talking to everything and everything is an expert in its own domain, then I don't have to go to all these other systems and use them directly. I still get a lot of value out of them, but I can have my, I'm a SecOps person and I'm doing an investigation. It can go spider out to all of these other systems and say, hey, here's what I'm doing. Can you contribute? Do whatever it is with your stuff and contribute back to it. 100%. I think that's where the world is going to go with, especially agent to agent. And that's going to enable me not having to go use any of those applications, manually or go into each one to do it. We're just going to get that federation of experts, and they're all capable of participating.
Yep. Makes sense. Well, we'll wrap it up. I think this is an awesome conversation. I mean, to net it out and tell me if you guys disagree, but it sounds like traditional SaaS, it sounds actually a little bit dead. I mean, it does sound spicy. It does sound a little bit dead, but evolving platforms with agentic AI, making sure they're agent native, making sure they're running the workflows. That is the future. There's gravity in data and domain expertise. And to your point, Brian, like you guys are a SaaS security expert. That's your domain, and you have an MCP that lets you talk to other agents, building agentic AI into the products, and then moving faster and writing code faster feels like the future. I don't know. Did we agree? Okay. Mostly thumbs up.
SaaS is still going to be there. It's going to be way easier to use.
It's just going to evolve. It'll be different.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think if actually, to exactly your point, Brian, the way that Salesforce, like if you built a Salesforce application today that looked like Salesforce from 2004, you get laughed out of the room. If you build a SaaS today, the way that SaaS is, or a year from now, the way that SaaS has looked in 2015, you're probably going to get laughed out of the room. Like I think is that much of a change that quickly. Cool. Thank you guys for being on.
Thanks, Matt. Yeah. Bye.
Thanks for tuning in. This episode of All Aboard is brought to you by the team at ConductorOne. We'd love to hear your feedback. Send us a message at allaboard@conductorone.com. Till next time.